What it is, what it is. Yeah, so here we are, episode 6, Preachers of LA Power Rankings. This is the baddest chaplain on the globe, Chris B. Here, my beloved Bree. What's going on, Bree?
Not much. How y'all doing?
You know what it is. This episode was, how they say, underwhelming.
Blah, blah, blah.
Underwhelming, blah, blah, blah. Quite bland, might we add. But nevertheless, we still got to cover it. Still got to bring that good info to y'all. Strike that great conversation. Get it off the ground and all that good stuff. So, 4 families featured in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Cheneys coming in at number 4.
Yep.
What struck you about the Cheneys this week, Brie?
I like, was it Pastor Cheney?
Yeah, Pastor Cheney.
I like Pastor Cheney, but his wife is a little bit
Cornballish. Every segment that she was featured in, Oxygen could have easily had an ad for Jiffy. Because she was the corniest person on the show.
And I will say this. I understand her concern for wanting to keep in mind her husband's image and the church and making sure that he keeps it on the straight and narrow. But she seems a little conservative and she needs friends like the Hazlets to kind of open her mind. Yeah,
because she just had this whole... She just seems so, super sheltered. It's something... and this is coming from someone, let me be clear, I grew up in the church my whole life, but I have found that in my walk, I resent churchy people.
Yes.
It really bothers me.
Yes.
And it's just
Preach.
When you act like the church is the whole world, and when I say the church, I'm not talking church with big C, but church with little c, the cultural aspects of church, that can't be your whole environment to the point where you encounter something different and you don't know how to deal with it. Because what happens when it's something that is different and sinful? How are you going to deal with that person if you're just stuck in the aspect of it and not really able to deal with them as a human being? I just felt like a First Lady Cheney's approach to things is off-putting. I could see how folks wouldn't even want to hear anything she has to say because she's not accepting or respecting their humanity at a base level. You know what I mean? I'm not someone who... I've dabbled with the idea of getting a tattoo, but there's never been anything that really grabbed me. Yeah, I really want to do it. The closest I came to it, I think, was when my grandmother passed last year. I thought about doing something, but I know how my grandmother is or was, and she'd be like, "Boy, yeah, you did. No mark up yourself. Well, mark up your body for." I know that's how grandma was, so it don't make no sense. But to me, anything could be a stumbling block for your relationship with Christ. So I don't see it as tattoos in and of themselves are an evil thing. The passage that they referred to in Leviticus talks about offering your body to gods and things of that nature, and that's something that people do all the time. I feel like a more dangerous thing is when you're looking at your watch in church when it's 1:05 and you're like, yo, my favorite team is playing, Pastor needs to wrap it up. That's when you got to be careful. You got to make sure you tread carefully. You know what I mean? Number 3 was tough for me, though. I went back and forth on this, but I eventually settled on the McClendons.
Yeah.
Say what you said earlier about why you think they bother you.
I think I'm realizing more and more that I dislike them because of their affluence.
Yeah?
Because they appear so upper crust and...
Yeah. Turtleneck.
And turtleneck and don't seem to be able to reach. Not necessarily reach, but it's just... If I were to be going to their church, I don't know if I'd be able to relate to them.
Nah.
Because of,
and I worried
their affluence.
I worried that they wouldn't want to relate to me.
Yeah.
That's what I find more problematic.
I have yet to see him go out on the street and talk to somebody.
Nah. But you already know he already feel like he needs... I mean, this dude has more security than President Obama and Malcolm X combined.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's the most... out of touch in the sense, he's like the opposite of Pope Francis. You know what I'm saying? He just has no desire to interact with people, just from what we've seen on the show. Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know. You can't, in the words of the good brother Cornel West, you can't love the people if you don't serve the people. Mm-hmm. And how you gonna serve them if you're not with them? You know what I mean?
And I also dislike how he reinforces his little son's bad behavior.
So worst behaved.
He seems like a little arrogant somebody.
He's very arrogant. Very, very arrogant. I'm not with Lil McClendon's vibe. But the older son, the musician, he had a good temperament.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be all right.
And I think that what he was saying as a father to his son is what made me realize that one of the main reasons I dislike him is because of their affluence, because what he was saying was good stuff.
It was.
And I completely relate to what he was saying as, music is a gift from God.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful how you use it.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, that affluence is what makes them seem kind of unreachable.
You gotta
unattainable.
You gotta be able to walk with kings and keep the common touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Number 2.
The Gibsons.
Gibsons. I was nervous. I honestly felt at one point that he might mess around and come in last place for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was tripping a little bit.
Yeah.
Bishop Gibson keeps it all the way real, keeps it 100. I appreciate that about him greatly. But at the same time, I kind of felt like he was trying to pick a fight. Like, you dealing with these cornball bishops, and maybe you do need to shake them up out of their suits and get them to stop feeling so just removed from the ways of the world.
But there's a time and a place for that.
Exactly.
I don't know if preaching it during a sermon was the correct way to do that.
Yeah, sending shots during your sermon. I don't know if that's right. But I do like a lot of what he stands for. He's accessible. Mm-hmm. He's like the opposite of McClendon in that way. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, he's super accessible. Mm-hmm. What do you think about him talking about staying strapped, though? That was interesting.
I have mixed feelings about guns.
Yeah.
My cousin was shot at a very young age, and ever since then, I've just been all anti-guns, just because I think they're too accessible and they get in the wrong hands. But I don't know.
Yeah, it struck me as an interesting thing too. I'm not a gun fan either, but it just seemed to be an interesting thing because obviously he has his rights to bear arms, and I don't think that him having a gun is necessarily an expression of like his lack of faith. That's what some of the other pastors were saying. Mm-hmm. But to me, I think it's still he's a product of his environment. Yeah. He has a licensed weapon, so it's not like he's carrying it legally. But it's still that whole sense of like, I'm not trying to get jacked.
Yep.
And that's a reality. That's not something that is based off of just, fear or whatever, But number 1.
The Hazlips?
Hazlips, exactly. No hesitation necessary.
For a second.
The Hazlips, man. Love this couple. Mm-hmm. Love this couple. Shout out to the musician from Korn.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a dope interaction he had. Mm-hmm. And the Hazlips, no one gets it. I don't want to be presumptuous and be like, they understand, their whole faith or whatever, because we're all still growing and learning. But I love the way they approach things, man. They're just human beings, you know what I mean?
You have to be salt and light in the world, not salt and light in church.
Right, on the shelf.
People on the shelf. You got to be able to, you have to go to the corners of the world where there is no God. Like where people do not know of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And you least expect it to find Jesus in the band Korn.
Mm-hmm.
You least expect to find Jesus in the tattoo parlor.
Right.
But he had that church member that was the artist there.
Exactly, man. You remember Korn was I remember that Freak on the Leash, and all that stuff. So when I saw that dude, I was like, yo, Korn.
I remember hearing it back in school, but
they had some records, boy.
Yeah.
But this episode, I couldn't wait for it to finish.
Me too, man.
It just took too long. Hopefully next week is a little bit...
It looks like it from the previews. It's going to be interesting with that fire.
Yeah, fire. They trying to put a fire out with tissue paper. I said, Jesus be offense. Jesus be offense. But y'all know what it is. Still songs that could do no wrong. Hit us up on facebook.com/STCDNW. Soundboothradio1.com every single weekday, 2 p.m., 6 p.m. Y'all know what it is. Till next time, we out here.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.